I'd like to just start by acknowledging that I'm aware this is a lot and I'm a little ashamed. Hi guys, welcome back to another day of Bookmas. I can barely move. I am trapped in here by my books. I'm in book jail because these are all of my unread books. It is insanity, but I'm going to be going through every single one of them with you. This is actually the third time that I've done this video, and it's something that I want to keep up and do at the end of every year, just so I can kind of look back and reflect and make sure that my TBR is not growing. But to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think we've made much of an improvement from last year, which is really depressing. I feel lots of shame. I used to have a very big book buying problem where I could not go into a bookstore without buying like 5 books at a time. And I was also buying an entire series before even reading them, which I no longer do. Obviously, I still buy books, but I'm really trying to not buy as many. Definitely not buying whole series that I haven't started yet unless I have some sort of weird reason. So I just wanted to acknowledge that, put it out there. Obviously, this is more unread books than one person really needs to have. I'm rambling and I'm gonna stop, but the last thing I want to do before we start is I just want to see how many books I had last time. I did this last December, so I'm gonna go back to that video and see how many I had. Oh no. So when I did this video last December, I had 128 books. I am not confident that I have any less than that, which is like, I don't even know if that's possible. I mean, I was gifted a lot of books this year for Christmas, which was after that video, and then for my birthday and things. Okay, I'm not gonna think about it. No more excuses. I'm gonna get to where I can actually move around a little bit more, and then we'll start going through the books. Okay, I can actually fully sit down now, and I'm ready to start going through the books. And I'm really just gonna be kind of rapid fire going through these, unless I have something that I wanna share about that particular book or series. For the most part, I'm just gonna tell you the name because otherwise we would be here forever. I do have everything roughly split up into genres, so let's start with my tiny little Christmas/holiday section. These are all books that I would love to get done by the end of the year. I'll probably get through a handful of them, but not all of them. First up is Spectacular by Stephanie Garber. One of my favorite authors. This book will definitely be tackled by the end of the year. One Day in December, Meet Me at Christmas, Love Holly, and The Christmas Fix. The one and only nonfiction book that I have right now is The Ice Pick Surgeon by Sam Keane. This is a collection of true crime stories, and I have just 2 graphic novels/manga. I have volume 7 of Spy Family, which I love that series, and then volume 3 of Heartstopper, which I also love. I have a hideously large section of fantasy books. I don't know if I should do that first because it's so large. Yeah, why not? Let's do that one. Starting off with The Shadow of the Gods by John Gwynne, which my boyfriend just listened to on audiobook. He actually listened to, I think, the first 3 books, and he is obsessed. He told me I have to read this right away. So this is definitely on my radar right now. I have all 3 books in the Broken Earth trilogy by N.K. Jemisin, which is the 5th season, The Obelisk Gate, and The Stone Sky. Spin the Dawn by Elizabeth Lynn, which I actually got in a blind date with a book. Fable and Namesake by Adrienne Young. Look how cool that is. I think those are about pirates, which would make them the only books I've ever owned about pirates. Dance of Thieves and Vow of Thieves. The first 4 original books in the Twilight series. I really wanted to do a video reading these in the fall, but I just did not get around to it. The last 3 books in the ACOTAR series, which I really need to continue, which is A Court of Wings and Ruin, A Court of Frost and Starlight, and A Court of Silver Flames. This is so huge. And then, because like I said, I was out of hand, I did buy the first 2 Throne of Glass books. You can tell these are old because they are the original covers, and I don't know why I bought these when I hadn't even started ACOTAR yet, so I'm not proud of Past Me for that. Then I have Swordcatcher by Carissa Broadbent, These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong, Legendborn by Tracy Dion, City of Glass by Cassandra Clare. This is the 3rd book in the Mortal Instruments series. The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King. This is also the 3rd book in the Crowns of Nyaxia series. A Deadly Education by Naomi Novik, Nettle and Bone by T. Kingfisher. This is another blind date with a book. The Prison Healer by Lynette Noni. A couple more series that I bought before even reading the first book. We have the Darker Shade of Magic trilogy by V.E. Schwab, which is A Darker Shade of Magic, A Gathering of Shadows, and A Conjuring of Light. And the very heavy Daughter of Lost Souls. What? War of Lost Hearts. Where did I get Daughter of Lost Souls? Oh, maybe because the first one's Daughter of No Worlds? I don't really know how I did that. Anyways, that's the first book, Children of Fallen Gods, and Mother of Death and Dawn. Those are genuinely so heavy. And then probably the largest book I own, which is Priory of the Orange Tree. Surprise, surprise, this has made it another year on the TBR because I'm so afraid to read this big thing. Disappointing. The Atlas 6 by Olivia Blake, 5 Broken Blades by Mai Corlin. I have to admit I did buy this just because of the beautiful sprayed edges, but it also sounds good. A Fate Inked in Blood by Danielle L. Jensen, Assistant to the Villain by Hannah Nicole Mayer. Probably said that wrong. Ninth House by Lee Bardugo. Two Twisted Crowns by Rachel Gillig. This is book 2 in the Shepherd's King duology, and I'm so excited to get to this one. I just read book 1. Half a Soul by Olivia Atwater. The Nature of Witches by Rachel Griffin. Shadow and Bone by Lee Bardugo. Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. I definitely shouldn't have bought this. I should have just waited until I was actually in the mood for it, but I definitely got hooked in by all the hype that this book was getting. Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune. Iron Flame by Rebecca Yarros. This is of course the book that comes after Fourth Wing, and I am so excited to finally read this as soon as Bookmas is over. The Lost Bookshop by Elle Woods. Evie Woods. Elle Woods is Legally Blonde. The Poppy War by R.F. Kuang. This book definitely terrifies me. I just know the series is gonna tear me up. It's gonna be very brutal, I think. Jade City by Fonda Lee and Masters of Death by Olivia Blake, which I believe is our last fantasy book. There might be one hiding around somewhere. But now we can move on to my very small sci-fi section. We have Iron Gold by Pierce Brown, which is book 4 in the Red Rising series. One of my favorite series, and I really need to get to this one soon. The Mountain in the Sea by Ray Naylor. Those weird eyes. Ready Player One by Ernest Cline, Scythe by Neil Shusterman, and the Renegades trilogy by Marissa Meyer. I've had these books for so long, but I'm also like equally so excited to read them. I don't know why I haven't picked them up yet, but these are supposedly like YA The Boys, where it's like evil superheroes, I think. And it is Renegades. I think that Supernova is next, and then it ends with Arch Enemies, but I could have swapped those two. Guess I should figure that out once I actually start reading them. Okay, that's the end of fantasy and sci-fi. Next, let's do my general fiction. Starting with The Unmaking of June Farrow by Adrienne Young, which honestly, I could be wrong. This could actually be a fantasy. I'm not entirely sure. Let me look on Goodreads. I know that there's some sort of generational curse or something going on here. Okay, the very first genre on Goodreads is fantasy. So I lied to you, this is a fantasy. But I feel like from what I've heard, it's more of a historical fiction with a little bit of fantasy elements in it. But my bad, I will put this in the fantasy pile. Then I have quite a few books from Kristen Hanna. A lot of these are from my mom because she's her favorite author and she wants to force me to read them, including The Women, which is her newest release, and she loved that. Gave it to me immediately and begged me to read it, which obviously I have not done. Then I have Firefly Lane and Fly Away, which I think is just a duology. The Great Alone, which I don't know why, but I feel like this is the one that I want to read next, and The Night Road. I feel so ashamed that I still haven't read this yet, but we have Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin, and I feel like the last person on earth to read it. Then I have some classics, which I think are beautiful. I love these covers so much. My favorite is Sense and Sensibility by Jane Austen. My favorite cover, of course, because I don't know what is in here. Never read it, never watched the movie. Pride and Prejudice, Little Women, and then The Strange Case of Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde and Other Stories Combined by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is How You Lose the Time War by Max Gladstone. Wait a minute, this is sci-fi. I obviously didn't do a very good job of separating these into genres. This should have been here in the sci-fi pile because that's about time travel. And I can now vividly remember it always being on the sci-fi and fantasy table. So again, my bad. Intermezzo by Sally Rooney, which I just bought because it is my book club's book for January. 3 books by my self-proclaimed very favorite author who I've only read 1 book by. So I'm obviously not a great fan. Very bold of me to say that he's a favorite author, but that is of course Frederick Bachman. If I want to actually be able to say he's my favorite author instead of just pretending he is after 1 book, I need to read these. I have A Man Called Ove, Beartown, and My Grandma Asked Me to Tell You She's Sorry. 1984 by George Orwell, Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury, and honestly these might qualify as sci-fi, I don't really know. I feel like they're in the general fiction section, or they could even be in the thriller section, I don't really know. What we're learning here is you cannot take my word for anything when it comes to putting a book into a genre. Do it that way you will. Then we have this little tiny thing, which is The Torrents of Spring by Ernest Hemingway. I don't know why I haven't just knocked this out in like 10 minutes yet. This could be really great if I am just 1 book behind on my reading goal for the year. Might have to break that out. Everything I Never Told You by Celeste Ng, The Bastard of Istanbul by Elif Shafiq, and last Pineapple Street by Jenny Jackson. Let's do mystery thrillers next, and then we'll end on romance. Bunny by Mona Awad. This is one of those what the heck did I just read books that I'm hoping I enjoy and don't hate. I feel like it's very 50-50. Finley Donovan is Killing It by Ellie Cosimano. Every Time I Die. Every Time I Go on Vacation, Somebody Dies by Catherine Mack. Little White Lies by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I absolutely love The Naturals and The Inheritance games, so this is a new series by her that I want to start. New to me, not new to her. I think this is quite old. A Curious Beginning by Deanna Rayborn, which is the first book in the Veronica Speedwell series. The Maidens by Alex Michelides. Upgrade by Blake Crouch. I loved Dark Matter and I really want to get into more of his books. The Only One Left by Riley Sager. I have yet to read a Riley Sager book. The Family Upstairs by Lisa Jewell. Final Girls, also by Riley Sager. And then The Final Girl Support Group by Grady Hendrix. I believe that these two are basically the exact same thing. So I'll probably end up reading one of them, but I don't know which one. On a Quiet Street by Serafina Nova Glass. The Soulmate by Sally Hepworth. And last thriller is Daisy Darker by Alice Feeney. Okay, we're almost at the end. We only have romance left. Hopefully when I go back to edit this, I'm not like, oh my god, I'm talking a million miles a minute and you can't understand me. Maybe I am, I don't know. Anyways, starting off romance, we have The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata. She is supposedly the queen of slow burns, and I think that I really enjoy slow burns, so I'm excited to try her books. Second Chance Summer by Morgan Matson. We'll Always Have Summer by Jenny Han, which is the last book in the To All the Boys I Loved Before Wrong series. What is this called? The Summer I Turned Pretty. Okay, last book in the Summer I Turned Pretty series, which I am specifically waiting to read until right before the last season of the show comes out, because I did that last time and I really enjoyed reading the book and then going into the series and comparing exactly what was different, so I'm waiting. Magnolia Park's The Long Way Home, which is the third book in the Magnolia Parks / Daisy Hates series. Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. Indigo Ridge by Devney Perry. This one is a romance, but it also has a side plot of a murder mystery, I think, which really intrigues me. I think that I'm really gonna enjoy that. Bride by Ali Hazelwood. The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. Butcher and Blackbird by Bryn Weaver. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage, and this is the cutest thing ever. I love the cover design for this series. I think it's so cute. The Fine Print by Lauren Asher. I am so embarrassed that I haven't read this yet. I've had this for so long. A Novel Love Story by Ashley Poston. Love Redesign by Lauren Asher. I don't know why I bought this when I haven't read the fine print yet. I'm pretty sure I just saw this at Costco and had just released and it was really cheap, so I was like, oh my god, I have to have it. I wish I could go back and change my ways. I don't know what to say for myself. Twisted Lies by Anna Huang. This is the last book in the Twisted series. I really just need to finish this. Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. I honestly completely forgot that I had this until I pulled this off my shelf and I was like, oh my god, I need to get to that soon because I love her. Love in Other Words by Christina Lauren. By a Thread by Lucy Score. The Guncle by Stephen Rowley. I don't know how this worked its way in here because this, I believe, is a general fiction. This is not a romance. Silly me. My Killer Vacation and It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. Addicted to You by Krista and Becca Ritchie. I just don't know if I'm ready to start this series. I bought this recently feeling wholeheartedly ready to start it, and now I don't feel as ready because if I do love this as much as everyone else, I'm gonna be sucked into the wormhole of like 20 something books or whatever. It's probably not that much. The Cheat Sheet by Sarah Adams. 3 Emily Henry books. I only ended up reading one of her books this year, and 2025 has got to be the year that I read all 3 of these. I just simply must. We have Beach Read, Book Lovers, and Happy Place. Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. Heartless by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in the Chestnut Spring series, and I'm very excited to continue it. And final book is Just for the Summer by Abby Jimenez, who is one of my favorite romance authors, and this is the third book in, I don't know if this series has a name, but definitely excited to finish this series as well. Wow, that was a lot. But I have to say, going through all of these individually and forcing myself to acknowledge what I have on my shelves, one is very humbling, but also it just gets me more excited about all these books that I kind of forgot were on my shelves. Like Not in Love by Ali Hazelwood. How did I forget that's there? And now I'm genuinely so excited to read it. But now comes the part where I have to count these up. And I know I'm gonna be embarrassed by the number. I mean, I have an idea what the number is in my head based off my Goodreads, but the last 2 times I did this, it was slightly off. So we'll see if it matches. Give me a moment and I will be back with a number. Oh my god, wait a minute. I'm so stupid. I feel like I did this last year. I forgot that I have a few books outside in our living room on a bookshelf that are more decorative, but there's still books I haven't read yet. Okay, one moment. You thought we were done? We're not done. Okay, well, first off, other than the books that I have out in the living room, I also had Babel just sitting on my desk because I'm doing a little DIY project and I was using this book as a reference for size. So not sure how I didn't notice that Babel by R.F. Kuang was missing, probably because this book has been scaring me for a year, but these are the 5 that I have out in the living room bookshelf. First is Murder on the Orient Express and a couple of other stories by Agatha Christie. Honestly, I bought this book more to be decorative than to actually read it. I mean, I definitely need to read Agatha Christie books because it's probably a crime that I haven't at this point, and I call myself a mystery thriller fan, but I really bought this because at the time I thought it was really cute and I now actually find it very ugly. I really don't like how it looks. But The Murder on the Orient Express is a story of hers that I was really genuinely curious about. Lessons in Chemistry by Bonnie Garmis, which, side note, is the prettiest shade of blue. Murder Your Employer by Rupert Holmes. King of Scars by Leigh Bardugo, which... Look how gorgeous she is. I actually got this as a gift, but I really cannot read this for quite a while because I have it in my head that I'm going to read the Shadow and Bone series and Six of Crows before I get to this one. Now the last book is Mad Honey by Jodi Picoult and Jennifer Finney Boylan. And now we're done. Apparently I could not be less organized or prepared for this video, but now I am about 99% sure that this is all of my unread books. So now I can finally count them up. Of course my number is off by 5 from my Goodreads number. How do I have 5 more than when I have on Goodreads? What did I forget to log? I'm just gonna recount real quick to be sure. Okay, I recounted and I got the same number, so it must be correct. The total number of unread books that I have is 134. So we are 6 books more than last year. Literally, how is that possible? And so far I've read 71 books this year, which means I have acquired more than 71 books this year. What? That is really scary and I don't like that. I don't like thinking about that. But that's exactly why I tell you that I am not proud of the way that I used to buy books. And every once in a while I feel myself slipping back into those old habits of wanting to just buy every book that I see that I'm interested in. And I really try my hardest not to do that anymore. And a huge goal of mine for 2025 is going to be to try and focus on my physical TBR because I certainly have more than enough books to get me through the whole year. Where I do foresee myself running into an issue is all of the books that I have where I only have the the first one in a series, because in order to continue all those series, I'm gonna have to buy more books. But you know what? That is a concern for a different day. Right now, my concern is putting all these books back and figuring out how I can start to read a whole lot faster so I can get through as many of these as physically possible, because I am so embarrassed to have such a large number of unread books. But hopefully it at least makes for an interesting video for y'all to watch. And just like last year, I would love if y'all want to give me recommendations or tell me what books I own that are your favorite, or even if there's some on here that you think I should skip, or let me know if there are any specific books that you would like to see me read in a reading vlog. But yeah, now it's time for me to put all of these back. But as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I really hope that you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you in just a couple days for a new Bookmas video. Bye!